All right, just making sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. We will get started. My name is Ed. I'm going to be your test support today. Today we're going to talk about the ACT real test, which just happened last week, October 22nd. 那么今天呢，我们会有请君老师来为我们讲一讲10月22号刚刚进行的 ACT 的这个真题考试。那主要是作文。君老师同时会跟大家讲一讲如何写好一篇 ACT 作文。I'll give you a quick introduction about Jun. 那么下面我来为大家简单的介绍一下君老师。Jun is the founder of 7EDU, and she is an expert in researching and teaching SAT and ACT. 君老师是我们 7EDU 的创始人，同时呢，他是这个在 research 做SAT 和 ACT 方面的这个教研以及教学工作有着非常深厚的这个实力和经验，那么13年之久。那君老师之前7年是在中国最大的这个教育培训机构新东方，然后到后6年呢是一直在美国进行教学。Okay, I guess we still have several people coming in. So, but without further ado, let me give you Jun. 君老师现在也在线上，那我们就有请君老师来开始今天的讲座。那么后面进来的朋友，大家好。
To be pretty open. They ask you to find your perspective or bring up your own perspective. However, the challenge is still there, okay? So let's check about the new ACT essay question. So it's starting from October 22nd. So let's see how it works. All right. So this is one of the question. So we all know like every time they prepared about like 5 to 10 questions. And it really depends on where you are and which question you got it, okay? So this time we got several questions, and I would like to analyze each one of them, and let's see how it goes and how to get a high score. All right, so it's very different from SAT. The ACT essay, they still ask you to tell them what is your opinion and what do you think about it. However, they give you more voice, which means they will just bring about like different point of views and try to interrupt you and try to distract you and try to make you feel like you have no idea what you want to talk about. For most of my students, they feel like it's really easy to start it, and however, it's really hard to get like very high score. So let me tell you what is a high score mean, okay? So we all know they changed the standard of the scoring, and right now the full score is 12. Okay, for 12, you at least should have like more than 10, okay, out of 12. All right, if you have like lower than 10, I would say that essay score is not that competitive, okay? Since the ACT, like the reading section, science written, and the math section is kind of like easy, the SAT, so it makes the essay part to be more important. So you have to pay more attention and work on harder for that part. Okay, so here is one of the question in the October 22nd test. Okay, they were asking about advertisement. And actually, this is an old topic. Let's see how they present it, okay? So this is a prompt. That's how they present the prompt, okay? For most people, advertisements are nearly impossible to avoid, and whether watching TV, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it's like always, they will just give you some background information, just to state a little bit. Okay, pay attention. You cannot use that sentence directly from the prompt, okay? Pay attention to that. However, you can always rephrase it in your own words, which are going to be make it easy, all right? So the hardest part is the perspective. Okay, the perspective one, they say, without advertisement, it will be difficult for us to make informed purchasing decision. As not only tell us what products exist, it helps us choose the product that best suit your need. Okay. All right. That's the first one. Wait. Before you're going to the second one, you need to try to simplify it. Okay. You need to put it in your own words. What are they trying to talk? What is the position of the prospect one? Okay. All right. Prospect two, they were asked about the presence of the advertisement is the reflection of our own values. If we were not, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what they try to do here, they're holding a negative or positive position. Okay. Prospect three, same thing. They were just talking about another point of view, and they were trying to ask like, what is your opinion? All right. So from this question, we can find that basically it's very easy. It's not like that hard. However, they are create a different kind of a question type, and this belong to one of them. Okay. So let me summarize the question type before I'm going to forward to talk about this question. So first type, they give you two same position perspectives, okay? Which means they will talk about the two perspective, which is on the same side. And they give you the third one, which is on the opposite side. That's the first question type. Another question type, they will talk about three different perspectives. And they are like very like positive, like neutral, and negative. That's the third part, okay? Okay, so the third type of question, they give you two different kind of perspectives, and they're like go against each other. However, the third perspective, usually, they are none of any of the perspective of the two, okay? They're kind of like independent, okay? I will show you some example later. All right, so usually these three type of questions are very easy. Very easy, okay? However, if they give you something like they give you only one perspective, the other perspective too, the other two perspectives, they're just talk about something different, like more general or bigger point, okay? It can be harder. All right, so let's check these perspectives, okay? So let's check what you're gonna crack this kind of question, okay? So I give you some tips today. It can definitely help you to go through your ACT essay, okay? All right, so my suggestion is, first, write down each part of your position. For example, if you want to check perspective one and you kind of like agree with it, go for it, okay? Write down why you agree with it, okay? And then at the same time, you want to think about why you disagree with it. And maybe you will ask a question, why I have to do that? Am I nuts, right? You're not. You're not wasting your time. You're not doing something useless, okay? Actually, it's really helpful to build up your argument to make your essay strong and rich and getting high score, all right? Because when you do that, you will make sure which part and which perspective you will choose. Okay, remember, you are not choosing the one you want to choose. You are choosing the one you have a lot of example or reasoning to go with, okay? Let me repeat it. You're not choosing the one you feel like agree with. You're choosing the one you have more things to talk about it, okay? So why I say that? Because most students, they tell me the situation like that. Whenever they go for an essay, they start writing like, oh, I like it. I like advertisement, so let me start writing about it. When they write it, they almost want to put all they know and they want to say into their essay. And then they forgot the rest of the perspectives. So what they're trying to ask you do is choose one of the perspective and argue the other two, and also talk about the relationship between the three perspectives. That's what they're looking for, okay? At the same time, you are also allowed to choose your own perspective, which is like the fourth one. But I don't suggest any student to do that, because if you choose your own perspective, you still have to talk about the other three and build up a relationship between the three and your perspective. It's going to be harder, okay, because it's going to require more critical thinking, stronger language ability, and clearer structure, okay? All right, so because this kind of perspectives, we understand better about this times question, okay? All right, so let's keep another one. This one, that shows up also in this times ACT. It's called fame, okay? All right, the viewpoint one, they say people who, want to be famous believe, they deserve more attention. they desire for fame, reflect like their, vanity, like a self-concern or stuff like that. Viewpoint two, they say, oh, we want our life to be unique and this is a good thing. Okay, definitely positive. All right. So viewpoint three, they will feel like, well, you just kind of neutral, right? It's like some people feel like, the pursuit of the fame can lead to, like selfish stuff like that. And well, in the whole world, people want to be more like, pay more attention to the group, in a group spirit and teamwork, stuff like that. All right. In this situation, you can tell these three perspectives, they belong to what? They belong to what I'm talking, like the first one, right? So they give you like two like similar one, kind of like negative, and two like one like separate one, right? Okay, so two positive, one negative, or two negative, one positive, is really depends on what is your position, okay? And just do the same thing. For the first one, you want to say, yes, I agree with it. And if you want to agree with it, you want to write down some notes why you agree with it. If you want to say no, you want to say why you disagree with it. Okay. So after you make the notes for the 3-point view, so the magic then shows up because you can see where you have a lot of things to talk about and where you don't have. Okay. So if, for example, if you want to agree with point of view one, you have to agree. You have to write about like a disagreement for a 2 and a 3, something like that. Okay, that's an example. All right. And at the same time, you also want to include the counter argument, which is the one you already make some notes. Okay, that's what I want to say. All right, here is another one. This one shows up in California's ACT test. Okay, so they were talking about the power of music. Perspective one, they ask you, music. They influence people's thought, like peaceful people, they like listen to like positive music, and negative, they listen to the negative music. They emphasize the power of the music, all right? So the second one, they kind of talk about what? Music promotes positive culture value and it makes society better. Same thing, positive, right? But it's like more general. So the third one, they say, only the reflection of social blah, blah. Okay, they were talking about a different kind of like a position, right? So I'm going to talk about this question, and I want you to do one thing with me, okay? Could you please bring one piece of paper? It can be a big one, it can be a small note, and we do something together, okay? So can everybody do it? All right. So I give you like 3 seconds to find out your paper, okay? Get ready. All right. And if you want to join in, you can just show up your face. Turn on the camera so I can see you. So you can participate more. All right. So are you ready? Okay. Okay. All right. So first of all, okay, I want you to write down for the first perspective, and I want you to write down if yes, why yes? If no, why no? All right. Okay. So for the first perspective, they say music's influence, okay? Positive and the negative. So they were emphasize the music influence. If you agree with it, you have to write down why yes, okay? For example, I would say yes, because music can influence people, okay? Let's say from like physical, point of view. Okay, so influence your like mental, like influence or, stuff like that. Okay, so we can talk about the music influence and the people's behavior. Okay, and also we can talk about like psychological or mental stuff like that. Okay, and think about one example. Okay, if your parents are here together with you, maybe you can just talk about it, okay, and what you do. Think about an example. If you want like any example, like Beethoven, like a musician, like famous people, you can just write it down the name, okay? If you want to say no, positive music, if you're a negative people, you still cannot like what? Negative people still get be negative no matter what kind of music they listen, right? So that's your point of view. Okay, so you would talk about negative people, themselves, they are negative, okay? It's nothing about the music. And you can find out the reason, okay? For example, you can say, all right, so Does that make sense? If we give those like like crime people, those criminal people who like do a lot of crime, and we give them like a lot of positive music, does it help them to change them, to make them become better? Okay, you can write something like that. Okay, all right. Second perspective: music promotes positive culture value and it makes society better. So we were talking about the music and the bigger environment, which is big picture. Okay, so what do you want to write? So you also have to write down yes and a no. If you want to say yes, what kind of question, what kind of example, what kind of reason you want to talk about? Maybe we can talk about like, well, the positive culture value. What is culture value? Okay, culture value include a lot of stuff. Include like, maybe we can say books or education can change or can promotes like the culture value. Maybe the music is only take a little bit. For that part, we can say no. If we want to say yes, we will say, oh, okay, really important because music, is like really magic, and we can find some example. For example, we say some cancer people who get cancer and they listen to the music and then they use like music to, to train them, like therapy, right? They just train them and cure them. So they got cured because of the music. So you can just find some example like that. All right. So for the third one, same thing. You want to write down yes, you want to write down no. Okay. So after you write down everything, you're supposed to write down everything. And then you realize that, oh, which part I can choose it. And the other part is going to be my counter argument. All right. So you're going to use the same thing to do it, same over and over again. And it's going to develop the habit. Whenever you have something, you're not just write down immediately what you want to say. You're trying to calm down and slow down and to write down what you are pretty sure you have a lot of things to talk about. Okay, you don't want to run out everything and then you try to put all the words inside it because you want to fill the space, right? Okay, so now let's check something. All right, this is one of the essay from one of my students. Okay, I had to finish the ACT test. She write it down, she sent it to me, she asked me, what do you think? All right, so I saw one of the students, Kenny, right? You say, is this stolen? No, it's not. Okay, we just take the test and then we want to talk about the question. Okay, all right. So sample essay, they were talking about like music, important form of art, blah, blah, blah. This is the first paragraph. That's from one of my student essay. And I give her a full score. I feel like she can get about like 12, okay? So ignore some grammar mistake because I was telling you, so no matter how perfect a language is, as long as the structure is not clear or the expression is not like various or you're not like showing very insightful, the content, you cannot get high score. In other words, if you like pretty good structured and very good like language ability, even you still have some like, small mistake or something, it doesn't matter, okay? So this is the first paragraph. We can tell for the first paragraph what they say. They just introduce the background. They introduce, what we need to think about. They just generally just leading to the position, okay? However, the second paragraph, which is the first body paragraph, is going to be more important because it shows clear what you think and what is your position, all right? So for most of students, I suggest them to put their position in the first paragraph. If they cannot or they forgot, okay, please mention your position in the second paragraph, okay? So remember, for each body paragraph, you should always put the topic sentence on the first, okay? I kind of want to give you some formula later, okay? But now let's just go through this essay, okay? So for this essay, I feel like the strong part is the sentence structure is like various, okay? We all know they test you about words variety, which like you cannot just repeat the same words over and over again, okay? Second, they will test you about the sentence variety, which means you don't want to use the same sentence, like I believe, I think, or blah, blah, like that. Okay, by the way, you do not want to tell them I think, or I support, or I believe, okay? What you want to do in the high score essay, you have to convince them to know what you believe, okay? So using the evidence and the fact to show your position is way better than you say, I believe. So maybe you will ask me, what if I want to just show my position, how I'm going to describe? So the best way is just to directly state your position without I believe, I think, which is going to make your essay way vague and, like not that strong. All right. So this is second paragraph. All right, let's continue. Let's continue it. Okay. All right. So check this paragraph. I kind of feel like this paragraph is a little bit weak, but it's better. Okay, check every time when they try to use something. Okay, they're not using the for example, right? She's not using the for example. She will say, sometimes she'll say, for example. Sometimes she'll say, take something, for example, okay? So she's trying her best to make the sentence variety, which I like so much. All right, check another one. Okay, for this one, it's kind of like very, very, how to say, plain, okay? I don't like this paragraph because she's trying to use some example and actually, I mean, it's pretty obvious, like she cannot find any better examples, so she kind of like make up some examples. Okay, I know a lot of students ask me, can I just make up my friend's example? So my friends, okay, what happened, blah, blah, to support my evidence? I would say, if you really don't have an example, you can do it. But I don't really recommend to do that as your first option, okay? It's not really good. But that doesn't matter because she really get a good score. And this is the conclusion part. Check the conclusion part. Okay, so I gave the full score to this student, and I also feel like it's really easy for you guys to get a high score because it's not really like the SAT, SE. You have nowhere to prepare. ACT, SE is easier to prepare and is like very easy to get high score. Okay, let's see. Okay, now I'm gonna start talk about how you're gonna prepare the ACT, SE. All right. Okay, check this. Check this. We need to really read between the lines to understand what they want, okay? They say, you are asked to evaluate and analyze the given perspectives. State and develop your own perspective, okay? Wait, you're not going to develop your own, okay? Because the safest way is you're going to choose one to be with and you want to talk about the other one. That's the safest one. You don't want to just put your time trying to struggle from perspective to perspectives. Okay, you really want to focus your time, try to build up your perspective, try to convince the other one. Okay, all right. So explain the relationship between your perspective and those given. Okay, this is the trick. All right, you don't want to choose yours. Okay, listen, you want to only analyze the relationship between the three they give to you. Okay. So you may adopt the perspective from the prompt. That's the one I want to choose. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so you may generate your own. Okay, so why they just create it like that? Because they want to encourage you to write whatever. Okay. However, when they score you, they don't score like whatever standard. Okay, that's why I would say if you want to get a high score, just don't take this test as something you're passionate. It seems like you want to write something and you want to, even you make yourself like so moved and touched that you want to cry because you write it so, well, like perfectly. As long as you're not meeting, the standard, how they score, okay? You are not getting a perfect score or high score, all right? So what I'm just to tell my student is like, set your mindset is like, I'm going to write something and this thing is like sometimes feel like boring and sometimes feel like I'll maybe interested. It doesn't matter what topic they give to me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write an essay to getting a high score. That's why and I'm talking about like this. And that's why we need to prepare for that, okay? So your score will not be affected by the point of view you take on the issue. I would say this is not true. This is not true because I know my students, they got so many different point of view. They write a different kind of essay. Most of the time, the high score essay will always be the same structured, the same way, okay? All right, so let's see, okay? So I also kind of feel like funny because when they just give you the requirement like this, I would say, why they still want to score you, okay? Why they still want to just, give you the different score and they don't want to give you the high score? That's very, very ironical, okay? So for here, this is how they scored, okay? Ideas, analysis, development, and support. Organization and language use and conventions, okay? All right, so let's see. 2 people will review your essay and let's see how they score it. Okay, so remember, this is the important part, okay? This is the important part. Analyze, evaluate multiple perspectives on a complex issue. What do you mean complex issue? Okay, so there's 3 times they keep talking about, similar stuff like music, like education, like going to college, like school, stuff like that. However, sometimes they will ask you something different, okay? For example, they will ask you whether we should wear safety belt, okay? Per step 1, maybe say, oh, everybody should wear the safety belt because it's safe, it can reduce the accident, okay? Perspective 2, they may say, is people's freedom, okay? People are afraid to choose wear the safety belt or not wear it, okay? So the third one maybe say, oh, we need to improve the security system, we need to improve the insurance, we need to like everybody to help each other, okay, which is totally different, okay? So in this situation, they want you to analyze some complex issue, okay? Sometimes they may give you something more complicated. For example, they will ask you about foreign aid, okay? So foreign aid should be made by the government, okay? And another one say foreign aid should be made by the individual, okay? And another one they say, oh, we don't need a foreign aid. It's just every country has its own problem. So they want to ask you, what do you think? So you need to give them like, your analyze, all right? So going through different kind of question and prepare early can guarantee you don't want to spend too much time in your essay, okay? Because we all know like the essay time, even you keep writing, you just cannot just finish in a perfect time, right? So you want to just reduce your time spent on the thinking as much as you can, all right? So the second part, like state and develop your own perspective on the issue, never mind, we don't want you to do that. Explain, support your idea with logical reasoning and detailed examples. Okay, listen, it's detailed example, okay? It's not like one of my friend, blah, blah, blah. It's like detailed and strong and trying to convince the reader, all right? Okay, clearly, okay, what I mean clearly is like organization, like what I said, like structure, okay? They just score you like this. Okay, effectively communicate your idea in a standard written English. So when we talk about a standard written English, it's like no run-out sentence, no comma splices, no fused sentences, stuff like that, okay? Just like no serious grammar issue. All right, so let's check it out, okay? This is like more details and to try and how they try to, score the essay. If you want to know more, you can just also check the ACT website. You can get more. So what I want to say right now is 4 key points, okay? The 4 key point is what I'm just want to remember, and maybe you can just make notes, all right? So the first important thing is the counter argument. The counter argument. All right, so counter argument is simply a perspective that, refutes your main argument, right? So simply, put something. I mean, if you're arguing that, for example, you are arguing like music influence a lot of people, and music influence in a positive way. The counter argument should be like, music cannot, right? Cannot influence people, stuff like that. So you have to pay attention to counter argument. Okay, why? Because that's the way to show your insightful analyze. That's the way to show your critical thinking. Okay, all right. So the thing is, it is very important to find out your counter argument and make that clear. Okay, make that clear. All right. So without a very effective counter argument, it's so hard for you to build up your own perspective, okay? So that's why. All right, so another one I want to talk about is transitions, okay? Transitions are very important, okay? You can tell like they test you a lot of questions in the English part, right? So I cannot stress how important transitions are in the essay part, okay? Without the transitions, your reader will have like no way to follow you. Everybody know that, right? But check your essay. How many transitions you're using? Are they all the same? Are you using but, however, and all the time? Do you trying to use something like, like what's more, meanwhile, whereas, stuff like that? Okay, check, okay? You must write a lot of essay. Maybe you can just have some, fun with your parents today and bring some of your essay out, okay? And circle all the transitional words. Let's say, what are they, okay? And another one you want to do is, you don't want to use it anymore, okay? Just to try to avoid using the same one for a couple of days, and then you will see how much different your essay will look like, okay? All right, another one, concession, okay? So, some people tell me, well, concession is kind of like, well, I don't really pay attention to concession, right? So the thing is, this is this is the most unfamiliar aspect of their counter arguments for many students, right? So let me put it in this way. It's like the whole point of the counter argument to disprove the opposing argument, right? So that means the goal is trying to show why your argument wins out, right? So the point of the concession is to demonstrate that you've thought about the issue carefully, okay? So that's way better to show them you have to critical thinking, right? So you want to use a concession way rather than, like black and white and good or bad term. That's not really good, okay? That's why concession is a very good way, actually can strengthen your argument, right? Okay. So last but not least, okay, so you want to incorporating other perspectives in your own argument for support. That's why what we talked about before, I want you guys to write down the, yes, why yes, no, why no, to list all of them, to make sure when you're writing your essay, you can go back to your notes, not go back to the essay prompt, okay? You don't want to do that. All right, so let me give you some example, okay? Here is what I want to show you a little bit, okay? So I don't know because I trained a lot of Chinese students when I was in China, okay? And I came here and I have been training American students for a long time, okay? I used to talk with one of students in Hacker and he was really confused. And also his dad, okay? And so his dad is like American, is like a Native American. So he and his son came to my class together. So they were talking about okay, why, a Chinese teacher can teach my son, which is like I'm a native speaker, and why the Chinese teacher can teach my son the writing section, okay? So that's why both of them sitting in my class. And after I told them everything, and I remember that dad told me, they say, now I understand why the Chinese student get high score, even their English is not really that good, you know what I mean? Okay, so same thing. This is a big supplement, like a big plus for your language ability, okay? I know you guys read a lot. I know you're a good reader. I know you're a good writer, or maybe you're not really interested in writing, but no matter what, you want knock the door to the good college, right? You want to get high score to represent yourself, okay? So there's two things you have to understand about the truth. One hand, they were telling you you're open to whatever, you can write whatever, and you don't need to train anything, and you don't need to get like a very high score. Even you don't have like very high score, you can get into like perfect college, okay? On the other hand, you are facing a very competitive test, okay? So SAT and ACT, they are very competitive, no matter for you and for they don't want to do that, and they won't give it to you. So the best way is the more prepared, the less you will be exhausted in the test, okay? So this is my suggestion. It's just only give you a little bit because I don't want you to copy or do whatever. So you want to develop your own formula, and then you want to keep in your mind. So whenever you write an essay, you just put every content down, okay? That you can get high score, okay? In this situation, maybe the essay you write it out, you feel like, oh, this is essay I write about it. I don't even enjoy it, okay? But that's guarantee you can get a high score, okay? That's what I'm saying, all right? Okay, so now it's time for you guys to ask me some question, okay? I would like to be open with every one of you, okay? So if you want to turn on your camera, turn on your microphone, you're free to ask me any question. I already answered one. Is this stolen? Is this not, okay? That's a cute question. Anyone have question? Okay, you can either text me in the private message if you're not comfortable.
Just an FYI 跟大家说一下，因为咱们这个公开课的缘故，所以每个人进入教室的时候都是自动被静音的。So you're muted automatically. But if you want to talk, please let me know, and you can also raise your hand on the participant panel, and I will unmute you. 所以如果大家有问题的话呢，可以举手 啊。那么这个举手很方便，就是在 participants 里边panel 里面有一个举手的按钮。那么我看到你举手之后呢，我会将你 unmute， 我会把你这个so you can ask questions， 那么你就可以来问问题。Or
yeah, but if you want to know any question, if you want to get the question share, I can also share with you guys. But you need to just let me know, okay? You need to give me your email or whatever. I can just share with you. Do you have a list of transitional words? I'm really bad to write the sentence in different forms. I always say blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, Jenny, of course, sure, contact me. I have a bunch of the transitional words. And the most important thing is not only get the words, but also know how to use them. Because, you know, one of the challenge in the English part, they ask you to put down choose the perfect transition, right? So one of the issues is like a lot of kids, they read it, they just find the one that sounds right. But basically, most of the time, okay, the sounds right one probably is not the right one, okay? So you need to know the relationship between the sentences and then choose exactly the perfect one for the sentence, okay? Of course, just contact me, okay? Okay, any question? And also one of the way to improve the transitional words is also I suggested, stop using the one you use every day, okay? Maybe you cannot even survive without those words like but, and, however, like therefore, right? Even though, although, okay? Stop using that one. Okay, there are so many other things to talk about it. There's so many other things to talk about it. Do you believe so? Huh? Yes or no? Okay. I can give you some example here. Okay, so everybody think about it. What kind of transition you can use besides those words I just mentioned? What kind? Okay, you can also ask your son or your daughter or your parents to talk about it with you. Okay, you can check how many. Actually, most people, they use the 6, right? Most people. But why I say you have to use a lot of different stuff? Because that's why you want to show difference. You want to be unique. You want to be outstanding. Okay. Think about it. The essay part, they only have like 3 to 4, maybe 2 to 3 minutes to review every essay. So they don't really have time to go through everything. But you can tell, like most students, their essay and their words and the wording are same, right? So if you want to use something different, you are standing out. I'm not saying like you want to use some awkward stuff, but definitely you can use something better, right? Yeah, what you can use. Let me give you some example here. So do you have any idea in your mind? For example, how many of you guys use accordingly? I'm going to type here. Accordingly. How many of you use this one? Okay. No? Okay. How many of you use consequently? Maybe sometime you use it. How many of you use as a result? Huh? How many of you use therefore? Okay. Okay, me. Cool. All right. So in this situation, if you want to show some, similar relationship, you can use accordingly, consequently, therefore, as a result, right? Instead of like only using as a result all the time. Okay, this is good. This is good. All right. So if you don't want to use and, if I ask you like stop using and, what else we can use? Think about it. Can we use like, how many of you use moreover? Okay. So how many of you use furthermore? Okay, good job, Sarah. And some of you use in addition, right? Okay. Some of you use indeed. You can also use indeed if you like try to express something, you know, emphasize something or proceed something, right? You can also say in fact. Okay, see, there's so many ways to improve your words variety as long as you just stop using the one you feel very comfortable to use, because no matter how much you want to stop, you will never stop, actually. You will never stop, okay? So try to use something different can improve a lot, especially your transitions, okay? Like even so, like nevertheless, like still, like despite, in spite of, like while, whereas. Okay, so many. Likewise, similarly, meanwhile, at the same time. In other words, that is, okay. There are so many ways, okay? So, yeah, you need to improve it, that part, okay? Try to remind yourself, okay? Any other question? How to structure the ACT SE preparation time? We only have 40 minutes to write it, whereas SAT has 50 minutes. Well, I would say ACT 40 minutes, that's way enough. SAT 50 minutes, it doesn't look like that much, okay? Because SAT, they give you a full essay for you to read it. And after you read it, you have to analyze it. And which actually my students, they just read 2 to 3 times because they have to understand what to talk about and find out what they're gonna analyze. Okay, it's gonna be harder, right? Okay, well, in the structure part, SAT, if you're a good reader, it's gonna be easier than ACT. Well, ACT, the challenging part is like you need to handle the complicated issue, right? That's what we talk about. So how we structure the time, I would like what I said. If you spend less time on handle the question, the prompt, the perspectives, you will have full time, which is like plenty of time to write down everything. Because I believe everybody's like fast enough to write everything down. It's in like 30 minutes, right? So as long as you can just handle the perspectives and point of views like within 5 minutes, the shorter the better, okay? So when you do practice, I want you guys always remind yourself, okay, write notes down, because you don't want like stuck in the middle of nowhere and then you don't know what to do and then you repeat what you just already said and then, you know, it's gonna be the bad, right? You don't want to repeat it. So every single paragraph you want to represent one point of view, and you want to put your perspective always in the beginning of the body paragraph, which is the second paragraph, okay? And you always want to remind the score reviewer, like, oh, what I'm support, this is what I mean, this is, you know, this is my strong position. All right, there's another one say, oh, okay, there's any other question? Please feel free to ask. All right, so let me do this. I know a lot of kids, they have a question, but they don't know what to ask. Okay, so, okay, here is what I'm giving to you. Did you see? Here is my phone number. This is not the office number. This is my phone number. Well, I'm supposed to put the office number, but I accidentally put my phone number, so you guys can take it. All right, either text me or call me when it's not like during the daytime is better, okay? Especially morning is better for me. All right, this is my email. If you have any question or if you want me to score your essay, just send it back to me. And this is my WeChat if you guys don't use it. Well, I strongly suggest you guys to use WeChat because WeChat actually have more people use than WhatsApp, okay? All right. Okay, so if you have any question, you just free to ask. If not, and we're going to finish our today's lecture, okay? Yes, sure. Okay, so I'm going to see you next time and see you guys. Bye-bye. Have a good evening. You're welcome.